Hello there! Welcome to today's class. Today we will be learning about myths, and by the end of the class you should be able to 1. Recognize myths and legends and identify their features. 2. Narrate some myths and legends and explain their theme and moral lessons. Have you heard stories or watched movies about creatures like centaurs, fairies, mermaids, and brave Roman warriors before? Well, if you have, then you would love today's lesson. Myths and legends are both stories about ancient people, places, and things. While myths are similar to legends, they are in fact quite different. A myth is a traditional story that usually concerns an event, with or without using factual or real explanation. Through these stories, ancient cultures try to explain the origin of life, the world, a human being, a place, or a natural phenomenon. It involves historical events and supernatural beings. Myths have the feature of containing non-human characters, explaining how the world was created, explaining some practices, rites, phenomena, or why something is the way it is, and concerns an event that people believe is true at the time. Legends, on the other hand, are stories that are based on historical facts and usually are about a heroic person that is important to a particular culture. They usually have the feature of being set in the present or past, being supposedly true, and are used to scare, teach, and entertain, and are used to explain why a natural occurrence occurs. Regardless of their difference, both myths and legends have common features like being magical, supernatural, and superstitious, as they sometimes narrate events that are not logically possible. There are several interesting myths and legends from all around the world, which you would find to be very fascinating. An example of an intriguing myth from Nigeria is the Yoruba myth of Abiku. This myth tells a story amongst the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria, where it is believed that the spirits of children who die before they are 13 are unkind spirits called Abiku. These Abiku spirits are believed to keep dying and reincarnating back as babies to the same woman until a traditional intervention like extreme sacrification is done on the child while alive or dead. Now, while this myth is strongly believed by Yorubas, modern medicine has now provided scientific reason like sickle cell anemia and rhesus factor incompatibility for infant deaths. What do you think about the Abiku myth? Do you think it's true? Do you think it suits our description of myths being supernatural, superstitious, and magical? If you think about it, you would notice that the theme for the Abiku myth is actually infant and pre-adult mortality, as it tries to explain why children die before adulthood. Although we can say the Yoruba Abiku myth is superstitious and not everyone will believe it, there is no doubt that it teaches us a valuable lesson, just like myths and legends do, as it creates awareness about infant mortality in society. Just as we have looked at the popular myth of Abiku from Yoruba land, there is also an interesting legend from northern Nigeria that has gained popularity worldwide as the legend of Queen Amina. This legend tells the story of the warrior queen of northern Nigeria, who was the daughter of Bakwa Turuntu. This legend is said to have taken place around the 15th or 16th century when the capital of Hausa land was Zaria. Now Zaria was situated at a crossroads with several commercial competitors like the Sudan nation, the Nupe nation, Junkun nation, and other powerful nations. Amina saw the struggle her people were going through, maintaining their power and rights over major trade routes. Hence, she started to undergo military training with men. She was crowned as the Queen of Zaria after her brother's death and led the people of Zaria to several battles where she conquered other nations and won more territories for Hausa land. Queen Amina of Zaria, as she is known, ruled for 34 years, during which she made sure Hausa traders could trade without hindrance anywhere in the Sahara. And she also collected tributes of kola nuts and male slaves from all conquered regions, making Hausa land very prosperous during her reign. Don't you think Queen Amina is a strong woman who loves her people? Wouldn't you want to fight for your people and make them prosper as she did? Well, we can say the legend of Queen Amina has taught us good and selfless leadership. Also, what do you think is a suitable theme for the legend of Queen Amina? Well, the theme is gender equality, because Queen Amina showed that a woman can also lead men when she works hard. Or don't you agree? Well, that brings us to the end of our lesson on myth and legend. We have learned what myths and legends are and their respective features, and we also looked at popular examples of them, from which we recognized valuable lessons and themes. Good luck, and see you in the next class.